Strong emotions do not have to be negative to throw us off balance. Joy, excitement, anger, or fear can all overwhelm us if they become too intense. The concept of the window of tolerance helps explain why this happens and how we can regain stability. What the window of tolerance means. The term window of tolerance was introduced in 1999 by psychiatrist and psychology author Daniel Siegel. It describes an optimal zone of emotional arousal in which a person can think clearly, stay present, and respond flexibly to what is happening. Inside this window, we can regulate emotions, reflect on our experience, and make decisions that fit the situation. People differ in how wide this window is. Some can handle very intense feelings without losing balance, while others become overwhelmed much faster. A wider window makes it easier to cope with everything from inspiration and excitement to frustration and anger. Under stress, people with a wider window tend to stay mentally flexible and effective, even in demanding situations. The nervous system perspective. From the point of view of the nervous system, the window of tolerance sits between two extremes. When we cross the upper boundary, the sympathetic nervous system becomes dominant. This is the system responsible for mobilizing energy in the face of threat, and it drives the fight or flight response. Anxiety, panic, irritability, and anger often appear here, and they consume a lot of energy. When we drop below the lower boundary, the parasympathetic nervous system takes over. Its role is to slow things down and restore balance. In this state, a person may feel numb, detached, or frozen with low energy and reduced engagement with the world. A simple example is being late for an important meeting. While rushing and worrying, the sympathetic system is active. Once the meeting begins and the threat passes, the parasympathetic system helps the body calm down and return to a more balanced state. What happens in the brain? The window of tolerance can also be explained through brain function. When we move outside the optimal zone, it becomes harder to think clearly or respond thoughtfully. This happens because the prefrontal cortex, which supports planning, impulse control, and emotional regulation, becomes less active under stress. This part of the brain is sensitive, and even everyday worries can interfere with its work. What shapes the size of the window? The width of the window of tolerance is not fixed. It depends on temperament, past experiences, and especially early emotional support. Unresolved trauma, chronic stress, lack of safety, and basic physical states like hunger, fatigue, or illness can all narrow the window. Social support and a sense of safety can expand it. Hyperarousal and hypoarousal. Above the window lies hyperarousal, marked by excess energy, heightened alertness, anxiety, fear, anger, and sometimes rage. Below the window is hypoarousal, characterized by low energy withdrawal, apathy, shame, and emotional flatness. In both states, rational decision-making becomes difficult. How to recognize your own window. You can start by noticing which situations push you out of balance. If you remain productive, present, and emotionally aware, you are likely within your window. If you notice panic, numbness, or shutdown, you have probably moved outside it. Observing your own patterns over time helps identify what brings you back to balance. How to expand the window. Caring for the nervous system is essential. Regular sleep, nutritious food, physical activity, rest, and supportive relationships all help. It is also useful to develop personal strategies for returning to balance, such as breathing movement, creativity, music, or quiet time. With practice and support, the window of tolerance can gradually widen, making emotional life more resilient and manageable.